for having me. My willingness and for me to share my story in a different perspective as it relates to science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. I want to thank you all for all that you all are doing, your willingness to positively impact the youth of today and encourage them to shoot beyond the stars. For our youth today, they are our future for tomorrow. They are our future doctors, our future lawyers, our future engineers, our future mathematicians. And so I want to thank you all for your willingness to extend yourself to positively impact the youth today. And as you endeavor to impact the youth of today, I want to further challenge you all to change the narrative of what STEM looks like. And in doing so, ladies and gentlemen, I would first like to submit to you all that our country, we are in big trouble. Yes, I repeat, our country, we are in trouble, as our level of diversities and innovations has declined, which can be attributed to a lack of diversity in STEM and leadership positions. In accordance to the Center of Strategic and International Studies, our STEM proficiency in this country has been declining since the 1980s, threatening our technological leadership, a type of leadership that is paramount to the success of our country as well as to our sense of competitiveness. Now, as a country, we face a plethora of issues, and particularly with our youth of today, as we have social media platforms and we are in this digital age. We have social media platforms such as Twitter, such as Instagram, such as TikTok, and even YouTube to be appearing. They are more prevalent, and everyone, they're posting all of these likes and everything for the validation of other people, and the response time and information, it is expected to be a lot quicker with more precision and accuracy. And I'm not bashing social media. Social media definitely has its place. Because if I wanted to order a pizza really fast and I can have it readily at my home, I can do so at the click of a button. Or if I wanted to check in on that old colleague to see how she's doing, I can do so by easily scrolling through her social media page and receiving that instant information rather than hearing information through the grapevine. So I'm not bashing social media at all. It has its place depending on how you utilize it. But what I'm wondering is, have we gotten so caught up in the selfies and the validation of other things and other people, and so caught up on the things that don't matter that we are negating and neglecting to produce in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics like we were producing in the 70s and the 80s? Have we gotten so caught up in the selfies and the things that don't matter that we're not innovatively producing digital codes to enhance these social media platforms like we were doing in the 70s and the 80s and beyond? Have we gotten so caught up in the selfies and the things that don't matter that instead of encouraging our youth to play video games and indulge in social media, are we encouraging them to build one? Are we encouraging them to further build an app that could possibly be bigger than some of the social platforms that's already out there? When I look across our country and I compare our country and other entities, I look at, in particular, China. China, they are statistically surpassing us in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. And this is a fact because they've been doing so for a very long time. Posing the question as to how do we as a country, how do we maintain our sense of competitiveness? How do we compete with other countries and other entities? When you consider the concept of STEM, everything, our technological advances in this country, it was stimulated from a science, technology, and engineering mathematics mindset. Think about it. Consider the chairs that you all are sitting in right now. It was incubated in STEM. The NASA rocket, even the airplane that some of you are flew in today, and even some of the homes, it was all incubated with a STEM mindset. Science, technology, engineering, and math. Even more concerning, as I dive and dissect this STEM field even further, this STEM field has been dominated by men way too long. And I'm not bashing you men, but it begs the question as to where are the women in STEM and leadership positions? Why is there such a scarcity when it comes to these women being involved in STEM and leadership positions? Ladies and gentlemen, I submit unto you, if we want to maintain our sense of competitiveness in this country, if we want to maintain or obtain an optimum state of innovation, then it's becoming more imperative to diversify STEM fields to include more women in leadership in STEM fields positions. Even more importantly, it's becoming more paramount for you all to encourage your youth to offer an interdisciplinary approach when it comes to STEM and leadership positions. as a project manager, as a systems engineer, and as a contracting officer at NASA Marshall Space Flight Center with a business and communications background. I delight in sharing with you my story today, stressing and highlighting the importance of women in STEM and the importance of an interdisciplinary approach. My name is LaBreesha, Batey, and this is my story. So who am I? Again, my name is LaBreesha, Batey, and I wear multiple hats at NASA Marshall Space Flight Center as a project manager, a systems engineer, and a contracting officer with a business and communications background. I graduated from Tennessee State University with my business, a bachelor's administration degree in management and marketing, and my minor in speech communications. And in 2015, I graduated with my master's of business and administration degree again in management and marketing. And I most recently just received my master's of engineering degree from Alabama A&M University. Go Bulldogs! Hey! Alright. I was born and raised in Nashville, Tennessee, in what was known as the underprivileged environment, where my mother, she raised 3 kids on her own in a wheelchair. Now, my mother's wheelchair confinement was as a result of a head-on collision car accident, leaving her paralyzed from the waist down and causing her to develop this debilitating nerve condition known as peripheral neuropathy. However, I am a firm believer that all things work together for our good, because it is my mother's story that has served as the inspiration and the impetus for a project that I have at NASA Marshall Space Flight Center, where I am developing this neuropathy aid for our returning astronauts who suffer from this condition of neuropathy. And my mom, she's here with us today. Mom, Again, I will repeat, it is my mother's story that has served as the inspiration and the impetus for a project that I have at NASA Marshall Space Flight Center, where I am developing a neuropathy aid for our returning astronauts who suffers from this condition of neuropathy. So you asked me the question, what is peripheral neuropathy? I am so delighted that you asked me that. I can't wait to tell you, okay? Peripheral neuropathy is a condition that occurs when your nerve cells become damaged, and it can occur as a result of molecular things. Diabetes, cancer, athletics, stroke, and in the case of my mother, a personal injury, a car accident injury to be exact. Now, this project that I have at NASA Marshall Space Flight Center, it was briefed and it was endorsed by celebrity judge Mark Cuban from the show Shark Tank. All right, and if you look at my slides here, you can see Mr. Mark Cuban in the back. As I was briefing this project, I was so starstruck to have him at NASA. But with Mr. Cuban endorsing this project, it has enabled me to become the first woman in person at NASA Marshall Space Flight Center to lead a STEM technical project from a non-technical discipline. And I will assure you, and I will submit to you, ladies and gentlemen, that it took those business and communication skills and those backgrounds that I have other than engineering to make me a well-rounded systems engineer, further highlighting the importance of an interdisciplinary approach when it comes to STEM, all right? But I've shared this space all too long with too many men. Again, I'm not bashing you men, but it begs the question, again, where are the women in STEM? Why is there such a scarcity when it comes to women in STEM and leadership positions? Statistics shows that although women make up half of the workforce, they only hold less than 25% of the jobs in STEM. Why is that? Why does this scarcity exist? Even NASA, recognizing that this deficit exists among women in STEM leadership positions, they have worked to create several initiatives to incentivize more women to get involved in STEM. But why do we feel like we have to pull our teeth or strain ourselves in order to get women involved in these positions? Well, I submit to you, ladies and gentlemen, that the lack or the shortage of women in STEM can be attributed to social bias that exists in our country. Yeah, can we talk about it? Yeah. A lack of encouraging environment, as well as a lack of role models. So focus with me for a minute. Let's talk about the social bias that exists. There is a strong misconception that STEM fields and leadership positions, they are only associated with masculinity, and that's not true. In fact, statistics show that men view women in such positions as unworthy, as unreliable, as less competent, As if women cannot be mathematicians or mechanical engineers or systems engineers synonymous to men. Why does this misconception exist? In fact, the late Ruth Ginsburg, she once stated that women belong in all places where decisions are being made. It shouldn't be that women are the exception, but we as a society, we have imposed this exception amongst our women. Why is that? If I can be transparent with you today, I myself, as a project manager, a systems engineer, and a contracting officer at NASA Marshall Space Flight Center, I have been subject to several biases and discrimination all on the precipice of what I look like and my demographical background. I manage a project consisting of Navy men, where I'm constantly placed in positions where I'm having to prove myself despite the many successes that I've had. I've had projects to make it all the way up to my NASA administrator level. However, there's still this bias where I'm ignored in meetings, and I'm constantly having to reassert my position as a project manager and demanding my respect, not so much of what I say, but through my successes. Ladies and gentlemen, we have to change our thought processes when it comes to STEM and leadership positions. And we also have to change the way we think about women who choose to venture off into such positions. How do we do that? Well, you can do that as mentors and educators by encouraging and offering a different perspective to your youth. That STEM fields, they are not gender specific. And that women in leadership and STEM positions, they can be just as powerful, if not more. All right? When I think about the late Katherine Johnson and the discrimination, that she faced and the bias that she faced, all on the precipice of what she looked like, but yet she persevered. She showed tenacity and she produced and it impacted NASA in a greater way. And not only did it impact NASA, but it impacted women and people all around this world. Katherine Johnson once stated that women did what they were told back in her day. They didn't ask questions or take the task any further. She asked questions, however. She wanted to know why. She said they got used to her asking questions and being the only woman there. Katherine Johnson represents the type of perseverance. She represents the type of tenacity. She represents the type of determination that is needed to challenge our STEM fields and our leadership positions to diversify these fields. And I would encourage you to do the same, especially with your young ladies. Furthermore, this shortage of women in STEM and leadership positions can be attributed to a lack of encouraging environment. And I submit unto you that when we change our thought processes and the way we think about STEM and about women in leadership positions in our environment, it will naturally change. Yeah. Statistics show that STEM fields and activities, they are more encouraged in elementary and middle school. And beyond that, this encouragement and this activity kind of slows. And I can attest to this statistic because when I can think about my own educational journey and how I was assigned science projects in elementary and middle school, but yet these assignments slow when I venture off into high school and college. Why is that? Our education systems and our communities, we're not encouraging STEM field and activities beyond middle school. This has resulted in less women graduating from STEM positions, and it's also impacted our workforce. So how do we change this environment? How do we get women and adults and youth to be culturalistically appreciative of STEM and leadership positions? How do we do that? Well, you can do that with your own youth and your mentees by conducting your own science fairs, challenging your students to think beyond social media, playing the video games, challenge them to think innovatively, apply those science, technology, engineering, and mathematical skills to several projects. You can also, again, challenge your students to think innovatively. Ask them, how can you improve a concept or an idea? I don't care if it's just a pencil. How can you make that pencil better? Okay? You can also facilitate your own STEM-related field trips. I know we at NASA, we pride ourselves on getting our youth involved in STEM fields and STEM activities. Every year, we have things such as the moon buggy race. We have Take Your Children to Work Day. We have job shadowing opportunities at NASA. All of these things to get your children to think more broadly, beyond social media, to think innovatively, to think science, technology, engineering, and math. And I would encourage you to do the same. Finally, this shortage of women in STEM can be attributed to a lack of role models. Our youth today, they don't know what to order to contribute to STEM, but that's not the case. I'm an example to that. As I mentioned earlier, my background, I have a business and communications background, and I just received my engineering degree. I submit unto you that science and STEM, it necessitates the input from every discipline, whether it be in education, whether it be in business and communication, whether it be in theatrics, it can be applied to STEM. Again, my background in business and communication, it has allowed me to manage a technical project from a non-technical discipline. And I needed that background in business and communications to be able to assess the market, figure out what does the market need, how can I capitalize on the need for the market, and how can I utilize my communication skills to write proposals, and not only write a proposal, but to be able to pitch those proposals to receive celebrity endorsements from celebrities like Mark Cuban. All of these disciplines are needed. Interdisciplinary approach to STEM is necessary, okay? My skills in business and communication has enabled me and my team to receive the 2021 Best Program Technical Team of the Year Award. Think about that. This business communications major receiving technical STEM project awards from a non-technical discipline. STEM, an interdisciplinary approach to STEM, is very imperative. Even more so, for an example, think about this COVID-19 pandemic. Think about how we were able to manage it. We're still managing it, okay? But think about this COVID-19 pandemic and how it took the input from various disciplines in order to roll out those vaccinations. It took healthcare professionals, scientists, technologists, engineers, mathematicians to be able to roll out this vaccination. It took those business and communications liaisons to be able to track the numbers. Who were vaccinated, who's not vaccinated, who's for the vaccine, who's not for the vaccine. All of these disciplines needed to work together in order to properly manage this pandemic. So again, in order for us to be able to maintain our sense of competitiveness, I assure you that an interdisciplinary approach to STEM, it is necessary. A wise person once stated that science has no passport, it has no gender, it has no race, it has no culture, it has no political party. Science is universal and unifying. Whatever your youth interests are, whatever it may lie, whether it be in education, business, again, theatrics, communication, those fields can be applied to STEM. Again, I am an example and a witness of that today. So in summary, we have to change the narrative of what STEM looks like. And we have to do so by diversifying STEM and leadership positions to include more women in leadership positions. We have to diversify those fields to include more women. Secondly, we have to offer an interdisciplinary approach when it comes to STEM. In order to maintain our sense of competitiveness and in order to obtain an optimum innovation. A UC Berkeley student once stated, if we want STEM to support the entirety of our universe and our diverse society, we must first employ a decent representation of the diversity in these fields. And that includes a diversity in gender, as well as a diversity in background. Again, business, communication, education, all of those things can be applied to STEM. You can find science anywhere. Science is universal, and it is unifying. When we endeavor to diversify STEM and leadership positions, then we will be breaking the bias. We will be changing the environment, and we will have adequate role models to manifest. So I submit unto you, as we work to change the narrative of what STEM looks like, let us remember the great words of former Batey Ambassador Michelle Nichols. That science is not a boys' game. It is not a girls' game. It is everyone's game. So I would encourage you to make it your game and further encourage your youth to play it. Thank you.